Okay, next up, we have Silvio Pupo. He's CEO of Logos Capital Group. We're founded in 2011. It's a globally focused impact investment bank or impact merchant bank, catalyzing solutions for the UN Sustainable Development Goals. They're an impact investment firms. They have global operations, and they raise different sources of capital for VC, private equity, project finance, and other areas. They also operate as an RIA in partnership with Sustainable Management, who you just heard from earlier. Silvio also has lots of interests, and I hear he's a 4th degree black belt in Okinawan karate. So take it away, Silvio.
Who told you that? Hey, Kearney, thank you so much for that. And Peter, thanks very much for hosting this excellent conference. I've definitely learned a lot from listening to the speakers before, and appreciate the time. I guess just to jump right into it, thank you so much. I'm speaking to you today from Miami, Florida, one of the places that is ground zero for sea level rise around the world, and one of 100 resilient cities that might not be around in 50 years unless we really take charge of tackling the solutions that are necessary to implement the Sustainable Development Goals. So this is a reality that we live in every day. So I'm the CEO of Logos Capital. I'm one of the founders of Logos Capital. I'm one of the board members also of the Government Blockchain Association, and also a board member here at the Global Mayors International Board for the city of Miami. I guess I'll just talk to you a little bit about why I'm here, a little bit about what we've done so far, and come to the how we've evolved as a firm the last 10 years. Jump into what we're working on right now, which I believe is very much pertinent and urgent, and talk about how we might be able to be engaged and involved with each and every one of you in the audience today. So that being said, we focus we are independent and diverse minority owned merchant bank. And merchant bank are involved in taking positions both in equity as principals if they're interested. We're involved in trade finance and project finance. We have a broker dealer, and now we're moving into the RIA space with more asset management. I started as a financial advisor, moved into as an energy developer in renewable energy, particularly licensing waste to energy technologies. So really focus on building the circular economy myself. And there's still a lot of the financing and broken systems and gaps that are necessary, both for fund managers as well as entrepreneurs that are looking to get into this impact space. Our investment bank started in 2011, and now just in project finance and emerging markets. And we're still very much active in emerging markets all around in places like Africa, Latin America, and the Caribbean. We have a very strong presence and go as far as Japan and Hong Kong and China, and with some of our operations. And for the last decade, we've been focusing on creating this green circular economy. And there are some takeaways that I took some notes on, and I was reflecting on both the thoughts of this conference, as well as how we should be carrying forward that I'd like to share with you. Really within 10 things I've learned in the last decade to then jump into something actionable for you. Talking about the green economy is that blue is a new green and circular is inclusive. So blue is a new green, as one of our speakers earlier was talking. 70 and 80% of the Earth is underwater. A lot of the biggest issues and obstacles that we have in climate change actually hold solutions underwater. We know more about the moon than we do about our own oceans, and it's taking a lot of time and energy to realize that. And we're very much active in catalyzing the blue economy, and have a blue bond club and a blue economy club we've launched, as well as a green economy. The other thing I dare to say is maybe black is the new green. With the death of George Floyd, as many of you know, controversy and riots have sparked into fires across our country in the U.S. As somebody that is American born and raised, that's also lived in other markets around the world, sometimes it's sad to see that there are places in the U.S. that are less served than places in Africa. Classrooms in Atlanta and Michigan, for example, in other states like that, are less equipped than classrooms in West Africa. And this is a reality that we live in today. And I think that this is one of the issues that I'd like to circle back to toward the end of our conversation. And new financial systems, which is the second point, are really possible. The uprising during the last financial crisis has shown us, the emergence of Bitcoin, financial systems and innovations that have been working with groups like MIT from the late 90s to finally galvanize together and show us that it was born during the last recession. Now there's a coming of age for digital assets and digitization of assets and digital money as we know it. So new financial systems and systematic financial entrepreneurship is possible. Circularity means inclusion, which is the third point. And thinking about a circular economy doesn't just mean the products and the goods that we consume. It also means the people that are involved within our communities and around our communities, and whether or not they're engaged to actively know what's happening in their community and have an opportunity to equally participate and take advantage of the systems that are put in place and they're paying taxes for. Fourth is transparency and accountability has finally arrived. From nonprofit to for-profit and government. The rise of blockchain has made it very clear that now we have the facts are the facts, and the new this paradigm of open source everything is possible and very successful. So reporting, and when we were talking about it before 10 years ago in triple bottom line, people thought that it was ludicrous. Now we're seeing industry come down the pipeline with regulations that are going to make this a reality. So we're standing in the right place, to enable people that don't know about their reporting and how to get involved in quantifying their work and their impact. We can have that conversation. Beyond sustainability, and this is something that's really hit me in the last few months. Beyond sustainability, which everybody cares about, that's why we're here and we're speaking today, is regeneration. Sustainability and going for carbon neutral is not enough anymore. We need to think about being carbon negative. We need to think about not just, okay, how do we maintain and sustain? No, we need to think about how do we produce more? And that's really the new paradigm shift that's happening right now. 6, smart cities. I'm leading the smart cities efforts here in the city of Miami. Smart cities mean resilient cities, okay? I've been seeing disaster response being a disaster responder, which encourages a lot of the investments and the solutions that I see in practical third world markets in places like Haiti and even places like Miami, of what is resilient design and what are we forgetting about. It's not just working in a silo and working with a startup, but we really need to work within the larger context, and bring me to point 7 in the 7th learning lesson, which is public-private partnerships allow for the best solutions faster and cheaper. So any of those that are working in public-private partnerships, they're very, very, very hard. I've been trying them for a decade, and we're finally close to doing our second one after all those efforts and all these years. So there's a lot of lessons and a lot of scars there if we'd like to compare notes. The 8th point is thinking global and acting local. Yes, we are a global organization, but we enable every single representative and country partner that we have on the ground to know what are their particular problems and what are their community needs, and enabling them to get the right resources and know-how to pass on to their communities, to galvanize their communities, because they themselves can solve the answers, unlike the imperialistic approach that sometimes the United Nations has even imposed on people and continues to perpetuate. And then this brings me to my last 2 points, which is a little bit really of what we're working on now, to galvanize all these things and bring them home together. And that's that ethical education matters, right? We've launched an Impact Academy. We're actively looking for people that can contribute in an open source way, your knowledge and your know-how. We're looking at 4 main broad categories of education and people that can help produce content. If you want, or if you're one of these 4 and you want content, we already have some of our own proprietary. We'd like to open it up for LPs, people that are making capital allocations, and people that would like to make capital allocations, foundations, endowments, municipalities, funds of funds. We're advising several of, and we want to invite more, even central banks, general partners looking to launch impact funds or have impact funds and looking to how to quantify that, right? How can they get more involved? What is gender lens investing? Maybe you're doing a lot of green and ESG focus, but have you ever really taken a gender lens investing workshop? Well, if you haven't, we'd be able to give you one more tool and resource to help you as a GP get to that level. And then, of course, most importantly, is the grassroots, is the individual. Students from across the world. Over the last summer, we opened up our internship program. We had more than 600 applicants. We were only able to accept 15. So that's kind of what the impetus for this Impact Academy was, is even though we're not able to work with every single person, we think everybody should know what tools and resources are out there and how to enable them and build their own solutions. Which brings me to my last project, which is this Impact Market. through our broker dealer and the RIA direction that we're moving in now, we'll have all the financial infrastructure, both domestically as well as internationally, to be able to both to have your allocations in terms of your cash management and everything from your cash to your bonds, to live a fully integrated lifestyle in your portfolio. You don't have to only put cash, only put, okay, maybe a social bond, only maybe a note, or only concessionary. Now we can provide a solution for full spectrum impact capital. And we want to be able to do it easily with a click of a button. And this is which brings me to the fund of funds aspect, which is, I believe, is one of the reasons that Peter invited me to join and speak today, is that through these fund of funds, we believe that we need to not just help social entrepreneurs, but we need to enable fund managers, right? We need to support the fund managers that are out there, which are a type of entrepreneur, right? Being a fund manager and raising money as a fund manager is much more difficult sometimes and oftentimes than being an entrepreneur. So we want to enable these fund managers, and we have the platform to do so, the licenses to do so, the network to do so. As someone that's very active in the intergenerational community of family offices, we were seeing from the inside how it is that the intergenerations are working together and where the best fruits are coming from. So we'd love to extend that out. If you're an entrepreneur, you can go to our website, impactcapital.io. We have a scorecard that we'll give away for free 15-minute consultation. If you just go ahead and submit a little bit about your deal and what you're working on, and we'll produce a scorecard that's AI generated, and we'll give you a couple of leads to the investors as freebies. We just want to contribute and accelerate circularity movement towards a circular economy. And if you're a fund manager, and either you are raising your fund or you're looking for additional funds, or you're looking at how to quantify impact within your fund, then you can also sign up to our website, impactcapital.io, and sign up for our newsletter too to stay in the loop. And right now, I want to just talk about the different types of fund managers that we're working with actively across the spectrum. As I mentioned, Black is the new green. We've been growing up in a diverse and minority community in the U.S. has opened up my eyes, and that's what we're here to do, is to enable the locals and diverse communities to invest in themselves. And that's why these emerging fund managers are so important. I mean, we're sponsoring Black-led funds, women-led funds, Latino-led funds, Native American-led funds, of all sorts. And so anyway, we need everybody, right? And the most important takeaway is that just being able to say, hey, look, we're just going to invest in this, or we're just going to do this, is not enough anymore. Your lifestyle and your everyday decision affects your choice. How you buy, what toothbrush you buy, what detergent you buy, what you're purchasing, right? It's just as important as where you're allocating with your bank and where you're allocating with your investments. We just want to make sure to facilitate that for everybody, so that we can live in 100% sustainability towards a true circularity and regeneration. So I'll take a pause there, Kuni. Yep. Take any questions.
Thanks, Silvio. Maybe we just have a minute or two. We can go back to the fund of funds and just talk about that for a little bit more. Tell me a bit about your manager research process. Who would qualify for investments, and just walk us through your thought process on that.
Sure, absolutely. So, we are taking fund managers from incubation, people that are thinking about starting a fund and don't know how to get started, right? So, because we've advised so many people, so many friends, and even here, right, in Miami, we get the broker dealer licenses just so we can help fill the gap, right, of capital needs that's happening. So, Sustainable Development Goals, for example, say that there's a $3 trillion financing gap annually to meet the Sustainable Development Goals. There is no way that any single fund manager can do that. So that's why we've gone the fund of funds route, because we believe it has the most catalytic amount of impact and the most exponential amount of impact in the greatest amount of lives by enabling others to allocate into others. So we start from as early as incubation. If you just say, look, we have this concept and this idea, either for a new fund, if you're an existing fund manager, or if you're just considering starting your first fund, we'll start there. And then, usually fund managers that get to your $500 million mark, we can help them get into larger platforms, into investment firms like Morgan Stanley or UBS or what have you, so they can get to the $1 billion mark. But that missing middle, right, of seed stage investment funds, for example, I mean, they're very difficult to fill, especially in places like the Southeast where I live. So right now we're really just we opened up the funnel to very early stage, all the way up to second, third, fourth time fund managers and fund managers that are overseas coming into the U.S. or U.S. looking to go overseas.
Okay. Well, great, Silvio. Thanks for walking us through everything you do there. Good luck, and we'll see you soon.